Živijo, 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 živijo in lepo pozdravljeni vsi skupaj. Spet se najdemo takole na telih spletnih bralnicah pod slamnikom. Moje ime je Boštjan in danes bom pilotiral tale, ne dvomim, iskriv in zanimiv pogovor z avstralsko pisateljico Bren MacDibble. Za začetek moramo seveda zadostiti vsem pogojem, vsem formalnostim, tako da povem, da je dogodek del festivala Bralnice pod slamnikom, ki ga sofinancirajo Javna agencija za knjigo Republike Slovenije, Občina Domžale in Australia Council for the Arts. Prav posebej toplo, poleg seveda naše goste, ki se nam bo pridružila čez kakšen trenutek, pa pozdravim tudi učence in učenke osnovne šole Franca Rozmana Staneta Maribor in njihovo mentorico Rosemary Štandeker, ki pogovor poslušajo med poukom. Še za vse, ki ste se priključili zdaj v pogovor, pa mogoče niste natančno prebrali vabila, samo toliko, da povem, da pogovor bo potekal v angleščini, tako da simultanega prevajanja, se pravi tolmačenja, ne bo, ampak bomo mogoče potem poskrbeli. Zdaj ne vem, zdaj sem nekaj, jaz sem rekel, da bomo poskrbeli potem v posnetku, mogoče kaj, ne vem, to se zmišljujem. V glavnem, preden napletem še kakšno laž, dajmo kar začeti. In za začetek bi tukaj le pozdravil tudi predstavnico mariborske knjižnice Meto Blakšič, ki je bila z nami tudi že lani. Meta, lep pozdrav, kako je v Mariboru, tudi sončno in mrzlo, ali imate kakšno svojo mikroklimo?
Lep pozdrav iz Maribora, iz mariborske knjižnice. V Mariboru je danes sončno, ampak zelo hladno. Veseli smo,
Jaz se bom kar umaknil, tako da damo, da imaš cel žaromet samo na sebi in izvoli.
Hvala, Boštjan. Festival Bralnice pod slamnikom je tisti festival mladinske literature, ki se mu že nekaj let v mariborski knjižnici z veseljem pridružujemo, vsakič znova. Zato se založbi Miš in še posebej Niki Susman iskreno zahvaljujemo. Ponosni smo, da smo danes v družbi odlične pisateljice Bren MacDibble in seveda, kot ste ga že vsi spoznali, našega dragega voditelja, vsem poznanega Boštjana Gorenca Pižame. As a representative of Maribor Public Library, I would like to say hello and welcome, dear Bren MacDibble. We are very honored to be part of this event and the festival and to present your inspiring book for young readers. I wish you a good conversation with Boštjan, who is always fun. Zahvaljujemo se pa tudi vsem dragim mladim poslušalkam in poslušalcem ter učiteljicam, še posebej iz osnovne šole Franc Rozman Stane iz Maribora. Želim vam prijeten dogodek, postavite kakšno zanimivo vprašanje in seveda vas zmeraj vabimo k branju dobrih in odličnih knjig ter obisku naših knjižnic. Uživajte!
Najlepša hvala, Meta, za ta nagovor. Zdaj pa tudi tebi uživaj v pogovoru. Jaz pa se potrudim, da bom uresničil vse. Evo, tukaj vidimo še knjigo. Lahko majčkeno višje še dvigneš knjigo, evo takole, da jo vidimo. Jaz, Čebela, ne smemo pozabiti povedati, da v slovenskem prevodu Neže Božič je izšla ta knjiga pri založbi Miš. Zdaj pa Meta pomah v Maribor in pa seveda pozdravljamo našo gostjo Bren MacDibble. Bren, welcome in Slovenija.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Meta, and thank you, Boštjan. That was wonderful. And I love the new title you have.
Oh.
The title, not How to Be, Me the Bee.
Me the bee, yes, it's yes, Čebela, yeah. That's so. Maybe if we start with it, how do you feel? Maybe if you started with it, so the translation of book. In how many languages have your books been translated so far? Do you keep the tab?
I'm not good with numbers, but I think maybe six 6 languages.
6 languages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're an
China and
elite
Korea and-
company. Yeah.
Yeah. France.
Yeah, but first, let's start at the beginning. So, Bren MacDibble, born in New Zealand, living in Australia, just made a 13-hour drive yesterday from literally festival, and now she's joining us here in Slovenia with the help of technology due to her book, How to Be. Before we tap on to the book, which is great, I really immensely enjoyed it, is the thing that I like to ask my guests at the beginning is, when did your love for the books start? Was it always there, or was it something that happened along the way, especially when people are reading your biography when you were young and working on the farm? So where do the books get into it?
I was a big reader. We didn't have many books, but we had school libraries. So libraries, I think, are very, very important. But I always loved good stories. In New Zealand, of course, we were share sheep in the daytime, still tell stories at night. So story was always fun. We had 2 TV channels, just 2. Mm-hmm. So we were always trying to go between the 2 TV channels and watch all the shows. So story in every form is amazing. I think humans are just hardwired to learn things through story. So I've absolutely always loved reading when I was a child. And then I just moved to writing sort of later than most people, I think. I did write when I was a teenager, but I gave that up because I didn't think I was very smart. But I came back when I was older, and I was a bit smarter then, I think, maybe.
Yeah, and one of, I think, the peculiarities of your childhood is that you've moved around quite a bit. So I've heard that you've changed like school almost every year, or even every half year. So how many different schools did you go to? And when you mentioned libraries, were there libraries that were like more memorable to you that you went to in those schools?
No, they were just very small schools and very small school libraries. I wanted to read before I started school, but my older brother couldn't read yet. So my mother never let me learn to read until I got to school. So when I got to school, I was busting to learn how to read and get into those books without her holding me back. And then my parents worked on farms. So we just kept moving around all over New Zealand, working on different farms. So I went to about 5 different primary schools. Some of them just had 2 rooms, so half the school in one room and half the school in the other, and 2 teachers. Some of them a little bit bigger. And then I went to 2 high schools, and neither of the high schools were very, very good. And they were a long way from the farm, and in the late 70s, there were teacher shortages. So when you'd get to school, you wouldn't always have a teacher at high school. You would get a correspondence pack, so you'd have to learn by yourself. And I think that's the most important learning you can do, is to keep learning by yourself. It's much easier these days. Everything's online, so you can keep learning your whole life. And that's kind of what I do. I keep learning.
Yeah, and the books are a great thing to do it with. But I think what is also interesting to hear for our young audience is the difference maybe between the European-centered literature world that we're living in and your experiences from New Zealand and Australia. So what were the books that you loved when you were younger, like kids' books and then young adults' books? If they, as far as they existed back then. So was it predominantly, were you taking them from the greater Anglo-Saxon, the English language pool, or was it some really just New Zealand and Australian, Oceanian book pool?
I think when I was a child, it was mostly English books from England that we were reading, just funny ones, kids having adventures and stuff. And then when maybe I was about 14, and I first read a Margaret Mahy book. So Margaret Mahy is a famous New Zealand writer, has picture books, has very scary teenage books. And I picked up one of those, and I saw a kid in New Zealand, and I saw New Zealand themes, and it just felt so much more real, because it had all these Māori themes in it, and all sorts of scary stuff that was around us, like not English stuff. It's like New Zealand stuff. It could get me. It was the scariest book I ever read. And when I read that, I was like, we can be in books. Kiwis can be in books. New Zealanders can be in books. Māori people can be in books. And that was kind of just, something that really shook me. So there wasn't a lot before then. I don't think there was hardly anything. But now it's flourishing industry. Now New Zealand and Australia have some really amazing books, and I don't know. I think we do quite well at writing down under. Yeah.
And when we look at the writing, the Australian writing for kids, for children, we have to mention that How to Be won the National Award for books for younger children.
Yeah.
Yes, How to Be. That's the book awards. Like all the stickers. Look at all those stickers.
Australia, New Zealand, and New South Wales, which is a state.
Yes,
so
so I think that the next year you'll also get the Golden Peer from Slovenia. Let's hope so, because these are the stickers, the awards that are given by the librarians here in Slovenia to all children's and young adults' book that they deem worthy reading. So
I hope so.
And it would be
my publisher gets an award.
Yeah, and it would be really good for you, because the bees and the peer and everything just goes with the theme of the book. But the How to Be wasn't the only book that got you award that year. So there's secret. Bren writes under another name too, and Kelly Black, you write young adults fiction, and you were the first person to win both awards in the same year. So what was it like?
That was they were my first two books. I wrote a wild science fiction novel as Kelly Black for young adults, and then I wrote How to Be for children, and they both came out within months of each other. So they were my first two books. And then New Zealand said, come over for the New Zealand Book Awards. And I went going, I won't win an award, my first book. How good? And a science fiction novel? That's never going to win. A science fiction novel, like had giant scary aliens. So I went, and they both won. And that was the first time anybody had picked up two separate major categories in a New Zealand Book Award. So that was pretty exciting. And In the Dark Spaces, as Kelly Black, has also got 3 awards, and 3 big awards. So got 2 more in Australia as well. So
that's maybe a message to Nika, just and your publisher to Mish, get some more translations here.
Oh yes, that would be amazing. I think because we in Australia we write very honestly. That book hasn't even got to England. And it will never get to America. It's just so scary, I think. But the Australian kids love it. They absolutely love it. Yeah,
it has to be a bit scary, yeah.
People live in scarier places than Australia, but
so your publisher is listening carefully, so they're taking the notes. No, but let's go to the How to Be now. So this is happening in a world where after a famine, almost all the bees have died. People are doing the beeswax, pollinating the trees together. But so, when did the idea for the book first form, and what was the first seed of the book? Was it the character, the setting, or just a theme? Where did you come into it?
I'd been looking for a story for a farm kid, because I was a farm kid, and I thought I can bring what I know about being a farm kid. And then I saw a Huffington Post article about a valley in the Sichuan in China where they refused to bring the bees because it's been so over-sprayed with pesticides and stuff that nobody will bring bees in to fertilize the pear trees in this valley. So the adults have to get up in the trees with feather wands and hand pollinate all the flowers. And there was just these beautiful photos of people in bright clothes standing in the branches. And they do that every spring. They climb up in the branches and spend the spring just hand pollinating, but with the bright clothing and the people against the sky and the flowers all around them. They were stunning photos, but like a terrible, terrible thing to have to do. So they just like went, well, farm kid meets hand pollinating. There's the story. Yeah.
And how did Pini came to be? So the main character with Mirabela in the Slovene translation, if I'm not mistaken. So how did she come to you?
She just arrived. And she, I don't know, she's maybe a confident part of me that doesn't exist normally, or it maybe could exist if I was confident. But she's very confident, and she knows what's right. She knows what's wrong. She knows what she wants, and she just goes. And she was really easy to write because she just drove that story so hard. So just trying to keep up with Peony was quite hard, actually, because she was just so strong-minded. I'm like, well, she can't compromise. She has to, she has to get what she wants somehow. Yeah.
Were there some crossroads in the story where you wanted to take the story in a certain direction, but then Peony just said, no, her character just blowed through in the other way?
Yeah, she was hard. Well, she wanted to just like be a bee, but I wanted a bit more for her, because I'm kind of like, I'm being her, but I'm also kind of her parent. I wanted more for her. I wanted to see the world start to repair a bit, because it's you can't leave the world in a bad way. You've got to have hope for repair. So she only wanted to be a bee. I had to like push her to do something else, and I had to make it very confrontational for her when she went to live in the city and be a maid, which she did not want to be. So
So there is a clear distinction in this world with people living on farms, people living in cities, the urbs as they are called, and of course also in the cities there's this distinction between the rich class, the poor class, and I think that it shows that your upbringing on the farm, because it has this idyllic kind of quality to it, the farm life here, although it is hard, although they are struggling to make the ends meet, but people there on farm, they just kind of enjoy the life there. They know they have the chance maybe of getting more money in the city, but they decide to stay more in touch with the nature.
Yeah, look, whenever any climate crisis hits, it hits poor people harder. If food prices go up, they can't afford the food prices. If rents go up, or they have to spend their money on food instead of rent, they have to spend their money on food. So it always hits the poor people greater. But growing up poor it doesn't matter if all your friends are in the same boat. It's only when you're the only poor person. Then it's horrible. It's awful. But if all your friends are poor and you're poor, and remember, Peony still has everything she needs. She has her grandfather and her sister for love. She has a job that she wants. So she has ambition and she has purpose. She has a bit of radio education, but not that she wants that. She has love. She has food on the table because of the job they do. So she has a roof over her head. So she has everything. All her needs are met. So when her needs are met, she's like all her friends. She's not so much worried about money or having things because nobody else has anything either. They just want to enjoy the orchard and have fun and become someone when they grow up, become the foreman.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I wanted to bring it in later on, but now that you mentioned that the radio education, the radio lessons, what was it like putting radio lessons in the book and then a few years later on seeing the whole world doing radio or internet lessons?
I know. It was madness. Yeah, I'd written my fourth book, actually. We started at the beginning of 2019, and we'd added a pandemic. So, by the end of 2019, when we were still writing the book, we really knew what a pandemic was. And at the start, we were kind of just guessing, and so much came true that we were really worried that we caused it. So it's funny how you can think of something and you think it'll never happen, and then all of a sudden we're there completely. So weird.
Okay, and if we stick with how to be a bit more so, the way that you put readers into the world is really smooth. You just feed them bits of information on the world, and although we never really learn what caused the famine, how everything went out, it feels like we don't need to get all that background because we see the world that is now, and the way the world is built. Also, I think one of the strongest points of the book is the language with which the book is told. So we get all the book is heard through the eyes or through the mouth of the main characters. So how did this orchard slang come about? Did you have any real world counterparts to choose from, or how did you get this simplified version of this simplified vernacular going?
I think I built it up over time. I wanted to stay in the head of a 9-10-year-old girl and only explain everything in her words and what she understood of what was going on around her. And I built it up over time because I'd write something and then I'd sit back and think, well, she's not been to school, so she wouldn't talk very nicely. She would have a bit of slang. And if she lived on an orchard and something was great, something was the best, and there's hardly any fruit and flowers, what would she think was the best? So I came up with super cherries was the best, the best of anything that could be was super cherries, because cherries are so tasty, so amazing. And then I named all the children after fruit or flowers, because I thought, what's precious in this world? You would name your children after something that's precious. So I came up with fruit and flowers. And they just have this like a verbal thing they do when they're annoyed, which we don't do in English, unless you think of the word sheesh or something, which is Jewish people use sheesh or something like that. We don't do that in English. So a lot of English-speaking people go, oh, what's cha mean? Cha, what's that mean? I'm like, it's just an annoyed noise. Like, you can just make an annoyed noise at people if they're annoying you. And other languages do it, but English doesn't do it. So the English people were like, "Oh, what's that mean?" I'm like,
I think that's that kind of the equivalent of that international teenagers noise, which is like just just put your vocal cords together and go, yeah, that's kind of
right.
doing. Yeah, and maybe, but then in the city, so the mother wants to take her in the city. So the mother is kind of a black sheep of the family. Kind of she doesn't content with the life on farm, but she wants to get more. In some way, this is helpful. We can see because she's bringing home the money that Gramps is using for the medicine, so that they can get better stuff when they need it or help when they need it, but she doesn't want to return, and she's obviously kind of idealizes that world so much that she's prepared to suffer even just constant physical domestic abuse because of it, and just telling herself lies that everything's going to be okay when we clearly see that it won't happen.
Yeah, she's old enough to remember how the world used to be, and she wants that. She wants that dream of a husband in a house and happy kids, and in this new world order that just doesn't happen. And then the man she's chosen is never going to happen. Because he's not very nice. Peony is never afraid of him, so the young readers are never afraid of him. So, but I find that adults are like, he's so scary, he's so mean to the mother, but he's but you know, it was just kind of just showing how warped your thinking can be, I think, when you believe in the fairy tale life instead of just making a life that fits your world. I don't know. She was just this character who wouldn't fall into line. She just wanted the old dreams. Yeah. And
then there's the family, the Pascal family, where mom works, where Peony comes to work, and where we meet the couple and their daughter Esmeralda, and it really starts with this classic, a trope of being a young help, all headstrong with a acerbic tongue and the innocent kid, and it looks like real perfect recipe for disaster, but it doesn't turn out that way.
No, it starts off with a spoilt rich kid, and Peony going to be her maid, wondering why she can't even like pick her own clothes up off the floor. What's wrong with her? Not even understanding what maids are when she gets put into that situation. But then she finds out Esmeralda actually needs help, and Esmeralda can help her. So they kind of form an alliance where they decide they'll help each other.
I have to confess that the first time they discussed that she will help her escape, I had this bleak premonition of what is going to happen. It was, oh no, they're going to get out. The people maybe in the city, there's something bad is going to happen to Esmeralda, that maybe Peony will barely escape. But I really like that the optimistic tone of the book. I've told you that already. That also, there are adversaries everywhere. There are obstacles everywhere, but people just manage to kind of, with optimism, with will, or maybe with a bit of luck, they manage to get them. Or so even when Esmeralda takes all of her courage to run out of the car to help Peony escape, Peony comes back, and so this bond is really strong, and
it's about loyalty as well. Loyalty and friendship and family, and being loyal to people. I mean, she doesn't feel that her mother's loyal to her always, but she's going to be loyal to her family and to her friends. So when her friend is upset, she's going to be there for her. help her, even
Yeah.
if she has to give up her chance at freedom at that moment. Yeah.
And she repeats this sentence quite a few times, like, I made a promise and I keep my promises. So
Yes.
it-
Yeah, she's
it goes-
very high morals for a kid. Very high morals.
yeah. And one of the things that I really also liked is this for like the tour for different experiences in the town and in the farm is the thing that Peony calls the clumsy shoe fit. So that's a kind of the dissonance between having the
bare
direct
feet.
contact, bare feet, direct contact with nature, and then in the city where she has to wear the shoes she's not used to and clumping around.
I wore bare feet my whole childhood, and I hated it when my mother would buy me one pair of shoes every year, and they were horrible. They would be too big at the start, and then they'd be too small at the end. And, we just walk out of the house to school in our shoes and take them off, and then spend the whole day in bare feet. And still in New Zealand schools, many schools still have a barefoot is okay policy.
Oh. In Slovenia, everybody has to wear slippers. So in school, so there's also no shoe policy, but also no bare feet
We have
policy. Yeah, and in the end, she almost manages to become a bee, but she becomes something even better, a beekeeper. So when she returns, I think this really ends, the story really ends on the high note of the optimism. So the world may become just a bit back to the things that were before.
Yeah. I wanted to heal the world a little bit before I left it. And even though Peony doesn't know what a beekeeper is, because she's never even seen a bee until that point, I thought, wouldn't it be great if she could be part of the solution, bringing the bees back, and then becoming someone important like a beekeeper.
So how important do you think is to have, maybe just if we look at that books for the kids of that age, so it's like 9 to 12, how important is still to have happy endings, to instill some optimism in the book?
Well, yeah. I think when you write anything with a bit of a climate crisis in it, you do have to have optimism. And I think the main thing I want my books to do is to keep people talking about issues, because we get really scared about the issues. They're overwhelming. But if we can talk about Peony and the bees, or one of my other books and their issues, and talk about the characters, we're still talking about the problems and getting used to the ideas. Because kids are very young, they shouldn't really have to deal with the real world yet, but they do have to sort of prepare, because, we're not leaving them a world as healthy as we came into it. So they do have to keep talking about the issues. And if we could talk about it in a fictional context where it's not scary, that's good. But also there is hope. The world may change, but it may change for the better eventually. It may change for the worst, and then it may change for the better. But I think there will always be hope. And I think as humans, hope is like our one superpower. We can all hope for better.
Yeah, I think there's never enough hope to give around. If we have the chance to do it, we should. And now we'll just jump to a bit of the questions that the students prepared.
Okay.
So this is what was your favorite part of the book?
Oh, what was my favorite part of the book? My favorite part, I think, was the bit at the start where she's doing the contest, where she's in the tree and she's trying to be a bee. And when I wrote it, and I don't know if it translated well, but when I wrote it, I wrote it in short little phrases. So it's like exciting, and it was moving, and it was pacey, and you know, she can reach every flower, and because she's quick and fast, she can, you know, that sort of thing. And I made it like do 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 do, and I thought, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm a writer who knows what they're doing, and I felt really good writing that. Like I knew how to be a good writer, and that doesn't always happen. So I think it made me feel good, and then when I read it back, I'm really happy to read something that's kind of jumping around in the trees like Peony is. So it's got that sort of rhythm as well.
Great. So now that we're on the subject of writing, people also want to know, so how many hours a day or week do you write?
Look, Australia and New Zealand have exactly the same problem as Slovenia. We don't have a huge market for books. So most writers have a second job, and we work two jobs. One is writing, and we tend to work our job that pays money every week first, and then we do our writing. I probably write 10 to 15 hours a week, and usually I do it in the evenings. So it's like my night job, but it's a job I enjoy. So I would say it's more like a hobby that actually can pay you some extra money. So maybe that's it. My day job, I'm normally finished all the hard stuff by 2 p.m. So that's quite early. So I still have a long afternoon to go swimming or kayaking in the river just over there, or then come back and do writing in the evening. So it's pretty cushy life, really.
Yeah. So your day job is, you have kind of small holiday resort, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just two little luxury villas with private heated pools and sort of tropical planting, and they're just little. They're like one street back from the beach, just little holiday villas. So you know, I'll be scrubbing the loos and changing the sheets and tidying things up, and then I'll be a writer. So yeah, scrubbing the toilet, doing the writing. It all pays.
So, do your guests recognize you as a writer? Do you have no?
No. Look, we're all fairly anonymous around here, around Australia. We don't. I don't know if they'd even recognize J.K. Rowling if she walked in. So it's Australia. Only a few people read here. The rest are all out surfing. I'm just joking.
And avoiding all the animals.
The snakes. I opened the back door the other day, and there's like massive, like 4-meter snake just slithered past. Me. Oh, shut the door.
Yeah, sure. And it was smaller than the spider.
The spider ate it.
Yeah. So another question on the topic of writing. What does writing mean to you?
What does writing mean to me? That's an interesting and wide open question. It means the chance, I think, to talk to people and entertain people and have people thinking about stuff. So, I really like the ability to be able to tell a story that grabs people and tell it in a way that touches their heart. So if you read my books, I do a lot of physical stuff, because I feel like if you're reading physical stuff, you're moving along. You're feeling it physically. So we'll talk about physical reactions a lot. So instead of saying like she was scared, I'll talk about what her body is doing so that you can feel that too. So I think writing means a chance to make people feel the story, not just read the story, but be part of the story. So I won't tell you everything. I'll let you work it out. That makes you involved. So I love the idea of creating a story that involves the reader and makes the reader think about the issues, but also sort of feel like they are the main character, get really emotional about it.
And two questions that are similar, so I'll put them together. So what advice do you have for young writers? And if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
To younger writers, I say keep writing and keep reading. reading is very important, and figure out who are your favorite writers, because you probably want to write like that. But keep reading to find all those writers, the ones that inspire you, because I was very much inspired by the writers. And also write scene by scene. You'll see my chapters are really, really short. You can't see. My chapters are really, really short, maybe three pages, but that's because I'm writing scene by scene. So I'll write an opening scene where everything is good, and then I write another scene where everything's not so good or something is happening. And then just scene by scene by scene. Then you can write a beginning, a middle, and an end for each scene, and it makes it feel easier to create a whole novel by writing scene by scene. And I would tell my younger writing self, keep going, you're going to get there. Because I wrote, before I had How to Be published, I wrote for about 16 years without getting anything big published. So I'm possibly a very slow learner, but I got there.
So in terms of writing, George R.R. Martin classifies writers in two groups, the architects and the gardeners. So the architects who plan everything beforehand, and the gardeners who plant the seeds of the story and see where the story will take them. So which style is more like yours?
I am a gardener. But possibly my gardens turn into jungles very easily and get out of control, and I have to prune them back a lot. Get out the gardening chairs. Prune.
Yeah. How much rewriting do you do then?
A lot. And that makes writing scene by scene very useful, because I like to get in the flow of the voice of the character. If you start changing a scene around, it can feel like it was going in one direction and then it moved. So I take the scene and I throw it away and write again. I throw out more than anybody I know. I throw out more stories. And then I will just go and write a new scene. And maybe I'll use a sentence or two from the old scene, but I just start again and I get the flow of the character back. And then it doesn't feel patched up. Yeah, I do rewrite a lot.
I've read the biography of Terry Pratchett previous month by his assistant who typed most of his work in his later years. And he said that he had this large file called The Pit, where he just put everything he wrote and didn't use. So when he needed something like 5 years later on, he's like, okay, I've got a chapter there that I can use. So that's.
I hope it wasn't made of paper, because that's a lot of trees and a bit of a fire hazard.
Anna wants to know, do you relate to the main character? That's a nice question.
Yeah, Peony is so bold and confident, and she doesn't shirk on her values at all. She doesn't keep her mouth shut if somebody's doing something she doesn't like. So I think maybe Peony is like the child I wanted to be, but I wasn't that forthright. But do I relate to her? Maybe I was that stroppy, that angry, but I had to learn how to not blurt it out. She's a bit wild, I think. She's a bit feral.
And two questions again, which can be joined or not, about your book preferences. So one is, what's your favorite book? And the other is, I think from the beginning, this is a great question. What is the first book that made you cry?
It's hard to remember which book makes me cry. It was probably, I don't know, a book about a horse when I was a kid that got injured or something. Was it My Friend Flicker or something, where the horse got injured? All Zana Freilon's books make me cry. When something happens with Applejoy in this book, I cry every time. Every time I cry, and I've had to read it 8-9 times, and I cry every time. And then I rang my Australian editor and I said, "Do you cry every time this thing happens with Applejoy and his mum? And she goes, yes. So that's weird. And my favorite book is probably there's an ugly old book by a man called Mark Richard he's a Creole man who lives in the deep south of America, and he writes in that deep south dialect. It's an ugly book. It's a book of short stories, but every short story is amazing, and it's all written in that sort of Creole dialect. So it's so colorful, and it's got a stupid name as well. It's got an ugly cover. It's a short book. It's got an ugly name, The Ice at the Bottom of the World. But the short stories in that book are just amazing. So that's probably my favorite book. There's a couple from the perspective of very poor children, and I just love them. You know, it's incredible. Like mum runs off through, the mum just leaves. She runs off through the corn stalks at the end of summer, and they just go, oh, there goes mum. Okay, now what? It's so amazing.
Okay, Bren, thank you so much for your time. I'm not letting you off yet because I want you we've talked about how to be, we've mentioned in the dark spaces. And I would like you've got 3 more books published. So The Dog Runner, Across the Risen Sea, and The Raven Song. Can you, because there was a question in the beginning, if you can describe this book in 3 words, but I'm not gonna give you only 3 words, but can you describe all of those books in a few sentences, so just that we can get to know what really interests you more?
So The Dog Runner is a worse famine. And
also the ticket, look at the sticker, awarded, the book has an award.
It's a worse famine. I've killed all the grasses. So all the grasses are all the wheat, corn, oats, rye, barley, sugarcane, rice, corn with a fungus. And a city is breaking down. This is my scariest book. A city is breaking down, and it's in Australia, and there's the sport of dog mushing, but we have no snow. So dog mushing in Australia is with dog carts, which you can see there, and 5 big huskies. So in Australia, they run through bush trails with these dogs, and they pull carts. So 2 kids have to get out of the city to go up country to a family farm as the city is breaking down. Across the Risen Sea, you can guess what happened here. I lifted the sea levels. And I think this is my most fun book. I got in sharks. There's a crocodile, because it's also set in Australia. Two kids want to be the best salvagers and fisher people in the whole of the Risen Sea. But a government comes and takes over the top of Australia, which is underwater, and it's just islands, and they come and take over the islands, and they take one of the children, and the other child goes to rescue them. There's even a pirate hag who wants to enslave the young girl. So they salvage stuff from old buildings, like those tall towers on the Gold Coast that are now like the sea is running through them. They sail out and salvage stuff. They have a lot of fun in this world, even though it's quite terrible. And The Raven Song just came out a few months ago, and I've written it with Zana Freilon. I can't do this. It's all back to front. Zana Freilon, who writes a lot of human rights type stories, and this is her first climate fiction. And it's in the future when there are no cities anymore. The survivors of all the pollution and disease that the cities have left the cities to live on little isolated towns, fenced in, and the natural world goes around about them repairing itself, like we saw at the start of the pandemic. Like the nature started coming back towards the cities, and the pollution dropped and everything. So they're leaving the land to heal. But of course, kids being kids, two kids go through the perimeter fence and find a derelict city outside their little town. And that's my timeline, which is way in the future. And Zana has a timeline of a boy who's in the city as it's breaking down during the last great pandemic. And it's full of pollution and it's breaking down. So that's scary. But also Zana brought in a bog child, like they find in Denmark and places like that, a child who's been sacrificed under a bog. And she has, which is a swamp. I just say that because Australian children don't know what bogs are. A bog is a swamp where they sacrifice this child, and they sacrificed her to stop something bad happening in the past. So she has a message of warning for Zana's character, who's a boy set about now, and he's a very sensitive boy, and he can pick up these songs from the ravened girl of the bog, and she sends ravens to warn him, and he in turn has to warn my character 100 years in the past. So it's about being good ancestors and knowledge through time and looking after our planet, really. So yeah, looking after our planet is what they're all about.
So looking after the planet, having hope, and I think these are good thoughts to say goodbye on. But maybe do you have any, maybe just some words for your Slovene readers to finish it? Although we've talked for almost an hour now.
Thank you for reading How to Be. I hope you love it. Or Me the Bee, which is a great title because it's in Peonese voice. Me the Bee. I hope you love it, and talk about it a lot with your teacher about, or your parents, about looking after nature and thinking about how we grow our food, because that's one of the most important things we can do in any country, is to have a really good, safe food supply, but not only safe but healthy as well. So think about not eating processed food and maybe just eating food straight from the land as well. What you put in, healthy body, healthy food, healthy body, and you'll live a long time and you'll be able to change the world.
Thank you very much for your time, Bren. It was really interesting. I am sure everybody listening enjoyed it. If you want to show people this conversation, you will be able to find it at the Miš Založba YouTube channel, so you can watch it later on. And thank you again, and a lot of ideas, a lot of messages in your books, and of course a lot of enjoyment writing those books, and a lot of time for writing.
Yes, thank you. That's wonderful. It's been great to come into Slovenia. It's a long way away and I've never been there, but I'm really glad I could talk to everyone there today.
Okay, so let me just Miš, another translation, book tour. So maybe it works out.
Yes, Miš, bring me over.
Hvala vsem, ki ste bili z nami, lepo se imejte, bralnice pod slamnikom seveda živijo naprej, dogaja se še veliko stvari in uživajte v dobrih zgodbah, predvsem pa, če še niste prebrali knjige naše gostje, jaz Čebela, si jo privoščite čez poletje v eni senci, medtem ko nam zdaj še čebele brenčijo okoli glave, se potopimo v zgodbo in poglejmo in se zamislimo o tem, kako moramo ravnati, da se kaj takega ne bo zgodilo. Adijo!
Adijo!
Oh.